Hey, PV family. So we have an important announcement to make that I have waited for 100 days to make. Do you remember back in March where we had that weird week where it was like 3 different announcements in 3 days? We're going to meet in the building, but we're going to clean everything first, and then stay tuned because we don't know what's going to happen next. And then finally we're moving to online worship. Well, today, I get to tell you that we are returning to in-person worship at the building on July 12th. And just like then, there's still some moving parts and some questions. Last week we announced that we were going to have 3 services, but we're going to actually try 2 services, one at 8:30 and one at 10:30 here in this new remodeled E-Wing, because it's going to be better for live streaming for the people who are wanting to stay home. But before I say more about that, let me first say thank you. Thank you to you as a church for rolling with the punches for the past 3 months. Thank you for the way that you immediately started engaging in online worship. Thank you for the way that you engaged with tiny churches as both host and going to them, because we basically became a multi-site church all over Central Arkansas in the course of just a few days. Times of crisis, and thank you also for your financial generosity and your generosity with your time and volunteering. Times of crisis bring out the worst and the best in people. And in the last 3 months, I have seen PV people at their best, and it's made me so proud to get to be your preacher. So we're returning to live in-person worship on July 12th. Notice I didn't say we're reopening church, because church never closed. But a few weeks ago, we did send a survey about how you would feel in trying to gauge your level of comfort in returning to an assembly at the building. And the results were about what we expected and consistent with what we're hearing with churches across the city and the country. About 25% of you said, I'm ready to go. Let's start this now. About another 25% of you said, I want to come back, but I have some concerns. And about 50% of us said, I'm not ready to come back now, and probably not for a few weeks still. I mentioned that we've been talking to churches across the country and the city, and about that we're right where other people are. About 40% of churches reopened their doors in June. About 40% of churches returned to live in-person worship in July, and about 20% are waiting till August or later. And this is important. Every church is making the right decision for their context. And we think we are too. We have determined that July 12th, we're going to return to live in-person worship at the building, but it's not going to be like it was back in January. And I think you probably know that. We're going to have some very important protocols in place, and that will include things like not having children's ministry or peak, because we can't expect children to socially distance. We're also going to have 45-minute services because of the medical advisory team's advice that we've been given, that will help reduce the transmission of COVID-19. And we're also going to require that everyone wear a mask. Now listen, I know that is actually a sticking point for some, so let me explain to you, because our elders really labored over this. They realize that masks are uncomfortable, and there's all kinds of reasons for it. But one of the main reasons for this is because in that survey, the majority of people said they would not feel comfortable coming back to an assembly where everyone wasn't wearing a mask. And so we're asking everyone who is 10 and up to wear a mask during the assembly time and to socially distance. Hopefully this is not for long. And listen, we are not trying to make one group of people feel bad. We're wanting to honor everybody. We're just begging you, please, 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 because it makes other people feel safer. And we're asking you as an act of Christian love to please consider wearing a mask when you return to in-person assembly. Now, we're going to have these protocols in place, but it's also important for everyone to know we cannot promise anyone a risk-free environment once they leave their home, no matter where they go, including your local church. And so we want you to understand that, but we are committed to making every opportunity to come to PV as safe as possible. Everyone is going to make their own decision, and everybody's right. No one is more or less faithful to God if they decide to stay at home and keep worshiping online, or come here back to the building on the first week. We are going to bless everyone as they seek God's wisdom on when it's right for them and their family to return. So let's honor each other, let's show great grace to each other, and let's continue to stay connected to each other. This has been a strange year, right? But we are going to get through this. Our church is thriving. We have never drifted off mission of making disciples of Jesus Christ. In fact, God has opened some amazing doors through this whole pandemic, and I cannot wait to tell you about those in the future. So keep praying for PV. Keep loving your neighbor. Keep reaching out and staying connected to your church family. This is going to be okay. It's going to be better than okay. God is on his throne, and he has never had a panic attack. And the future is going to be good. Okay. Love you all, and I will see you soon. Grace and peace, PV.